This is the Champaign-Urbana Mass Transit District Board meeting. It is Wednesday, December 10th, 2025, 3 p.m. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Lyle.
Here.
Brown.
Here.
Fasella.
I'm present.
Friedman.
Here.
Nudo.
Here.
Ula.
Here.
Barnes.
Here.
Quorum present.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as distributed?
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now we'll move to the public hearing on the General Tax Levy Ordinance for fiscal year 2026. The primary purpose of this hearing is to receive input from the public on the General Tax Levy Ordinance of the Champaign-Urbana Mass Transit District for revenue year 2025 to be paid in calendar year 2026. The notice of the proposed tax increase for the Champaign-Urbana Mass Transit District appeared in a black bordered notice in the News Gazette on December 2nd, 2025, and the proposed tax levy was posted on the district's website, mtd.org, under the Financial Documents for Public Review on December 3rd, 2025. The affidavit of publication is available for inspection. Are there any comments from the public on the proposed General Tax Levy Ordinance? Hearing none, I declare this public hearing on MTD's General Tax Levy Ordinance for fiscal 2026 closed. Next on the agenda is audience participation. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address the board on any other topic? Hearing none, we're going to move on to the next agenda item. Is there a motion to approve the Champaign-Urbana Mass Transit District Board meeting minutes from October 29th, 2025?
So moved.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we'll move on to communications. Are there any communications from the board?
I believe we all received an email from Mark Ballard on the Humane Society Board. He was commenting that they have a lot of volunteers and interns who do not have cars and are having difficulty getting to the Humane Society facility, which is on Kearns Drive near the Champaign Township Hall over off Staley Road in Champaign Township. I guess they're walking from the bus stop over by the Marathon store on Springfield Avenue, and he was wondering if it would be much trouble to get a bus stop on Kearns Drive at Staley, possibly. So might be something to see if there's anything we can do and reach out to the Humane Society about.
A couple of trustees have mentioned this now. Jay Rank, our operations director, will reach out to the Humane Society and we'll have a conversation with them.
Fantastic.
Any others? Okay. Next is the fiscal year 2025 MTD audit presentation by Baker Tilly US LLP.
We've got Jody Dobson. She is joining us virtually, but I want to let you know, so she'll be giving the presentation over Zoom. Of course, Michelle Wright, our finance director, is here to help answer some questions in person. You will be able to hear Jody, but we're having a little bit of a technical difficulty, and she cannot hear us. So if you have a question for her, that's fine, but we're gonna, so ask it, and then our folks in the control booth will relay it to her over the phone. And so just give that some time for, if you have a question, for the answer to be given. Hopefully Michelle will know the answer and we can keep it tight, but just letting you know what the situation is. So control, if you can let Jody know, she can start.
Thank you very much for having me with you today. My name is Jody Dobson. I'm a principal with Baker Tilly, who oversees the annual audit, and today we'll be presenting the 2025 financial statement and single audit. If we go to the next slide, what I'd like to cover today is an overview of the audit process that we go through, the required communications to the governing body, touch on some future standards for future years, and then answer any questions that you might have. So the next slide, we start out our audit process by understanding your internal controls and your financial statements. So this is looking at how the information is gathered to roll into your financial records, into the general ledger, and into ultimately the financial statements, how the different transactions are recorded and gathered and processed. And in doing this, we are working to understand where the risks may be. So if we go to the next slide, we evaluate the risks in each transaction cycle. And this is done through, again, gathering that information. We're interviewing employees, documenting those processes. We test some of the processes through a test of transactions and statistical sampling. And then for other areas, as we go to the next slide, that may not make sense to do detailed transaction testing, we may confirm balances with independent parties. We may rely on specialist reports, such as for pensions or post-employment benefits, and we may trace things to source documentation. Ultimately, all of these are different ways that we're gathering our audit evidence to be able to issue our audit opinion on the financial statements. Some of the key areas that we're focusing on are general expenditures as well as payroll expenditures, knowing that both of those go through slightly different processes and have different supporting documentation. The revenue and receipts cycles, both fair revenues as well as grant revenues, and then how information technology impacts how all the information is gathered and processed. So the audit is performed under generally accepted auditing standards with the objective to be the reasonable assurance that the financial statements are free from material misstatement. The financial statements themselves, all of the information comes from your records and management. We assist with assembly of that at year end, and ultimately our objective or our purpose is to issue the opinion on that. And your statements this year received what we call an unmodified or a clean audit opinion. That's the highest level of assurance that we can give. In addition, there were no material weaknesses or significant deficiencies in internal controls noted this year. As part of the annual process, because you receive significant amount of federal aid, we also complete a federal single audit. And this is looking at both compliance with those grant agreements as well as controls over compliance. So we've completed the preliminary testing based on the draft compliance supplement that was issued or that we had received a copy of earlier this year. Normally, the federal government issues the new compliance supplement each year in roughly July. This year, that process was delayed. They actually were able to finalize it the day before Thanksgiving. And so we are now in the process of doing the comparison. We've identified no significant changes from the draft that we were working with to this final set of rules that we have to follow. So we don't have to do any additional testing, and we're just working through our final administrative steps before we issue that, but there will be no compliance findings for the single audit this year either. The AICPA outlines a number of items that we have to communicate to those charged with governance. I think, there you go, if we have that little pop-up. And so just to highlight these, there's a separate document you received that has a much more detailed description of all of these areas. But our responsibility, as I said, is to design the audit in order to obtain enough evidence to issue that audit opinion. Management's responsible for the financial statements and all the financial information, and really you have the oversight responsibility to help them with setting policies and direction for that. As we looked at the accounting policies and accounting estimates that are included in the financial statements, there were no concerns identified. Things were consistent with prior year and in line with the standards. There were also no adjustments to the financial statements this year, which is really important to note because that lets you know that you're getting accurate and consistent information throughout the year. And if there were any other findings, disagreements, concerns that came up, we would communicate those to you, and I'm happy to say there's nothing that we have to report. So as we look forward to future years, there are 2 new standards that will be effective for the 2026 financial statements. The first one, financial reporting improvements, will make some modifications to the layout of the income statement, how we title some items, but no impacts on how your information is recorded or when things are recognized. And then the second one here just has to do with some footnote disclosure level of detail related to capital assets. So things that might look a little different next year, but no major impacts on the day-to-day operations from either of these. I also did want to take a minute to say thank you to your finance team. I know we come in for the audit, we ask for a lot of information. We go back at least 12 months, sometimes longer, and they're doing that while they're trying to keep the day-to-day running for the organization. And this year there was also some turnover going on. So that's a lot to ask. And in light of all of that, things went really smoothly this year and we are reporting out on time. So thank them for all of their assistance during the audit.
Are there any questions?
With that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you have on the presentation or the documents that were provided.
Don't hear any questions, so thank you very much for your presentation. We appreciate it very much. Okay, next is the Managing Director's report. Carl?
Thank you. I will just tag on the
Well,
audit.
thank you very much for your time. You do have contact information on the next slide for both myself and the senior manager on the engagement. So if there's ever questions at any time, you can reach out to either of us.
Control booth, if you can let her know that we appreciate her report. I was just going to say that the audit took place at a strange time this year because as you know, our assistant finance director left right in the midst of it to take a job at another entity. And then we had a period of time where we didn't have anybody, and then we hired Kim Seabright, our new assistant finance director, and she's trying to get her feet wet and figure things out. But she dove right in, and Michelle, who just went back a couple seats, really took on a lot of the responsibility that the assistant finance director normally takes on. And so it was, they're a great team under the best of circumstances, but the really cool thing is that they're a great team during the worst of circumstances too. So I think that's a good reflection of them, in particular with the result of this audit with no findings. With that, I will present the statistics that you have in front of you. As a reminder, we didn't have a board meeting last month, so normally if we had a normal meeting in November, which we don't because of Thanksgiving, we would be reporting on the October stats, and so I am doing that today, and it's too early in the month of December to have compiled all the information for November, so it will be in January that we present both the November and December statistics, and today I just have October. But October 2025 had an 8% increase in ridership over October of 2024. So we had a total ridership of 1.4 million, almost 1.5 million. And the fiscal year-to-date ridership was 3.9 million at the end of October, which is a 6.2% increase from the previous fiscal year. Our October 2025 operating revenue was 1.2% above October of 2024. Year-to-date operating revenue was 1.9% below FY 2025. For many months, I've been saying that a lot of that revenue difference is due to the interest rates not being what they had been, a year and a half, 2 years ago when they were quite a bit higher. And so that's still somewhat true, but it's starting to level out now a little bit because a year ago the interest rates were coming down and they haven't changed dramatically in the last year. So that's a little more of a flat line now. In terms of expenses, the October 2025 operating expenses were 6.2% above October of 2024, and the year-to-date operating expenses were 3.2% above FY 2025. The year-to-date operating revenues were $720,000 above budget, while operating expenses were almost $1.8 million below budget. And let's see, I'll take any questions that you have on the report in the board packet through page 121. And then I have one comment after that.
So this is just an observation. So it seems outside the campus, ridership is declining. Is that a true statement?
That in the month that you're looking at, and actually over the whole year, that is a true statement that we are seeing a shift, and so. I don't yet know why, but during the pandemic, what we saw was, during the immediate recovery from the pandemic, the community ridership was really coming up and growing back at a much higher rate than what the campus ridership was. And so now we're post-pandemic, and I think what we're seeing is somewhat, again, of a balancing with those two populations and their ridership. I don't know that for sure. I'm speculating, but I think that it's a balancing. So it is something that we're watching and kind of keeping our eye on to see how it progresses, because we certainly, if there's something going on that the community is finding the service isn't working well for them, then we want to respond to that. But I think it's a little too early to know that kind of thing yet. So we're keeping an eye on it.
I see on our table, page 32, which I presume is a replacement for some error on the page 32 in the packet.
That was 32.
It's entitled
in the midst of the audit, though. I don't know. I'm not. 92. That makes more sense. Yes. Okay. The only change, George, on page 92, and you're correct, it is just a replacement for that. If you look at page 92, either version that you have, the very first column of ridership numbers is labeled November. The first two columns are labeled November, and they should be October. And so all the numbers were correct, but we just mislabeled the header because normally we are doing the month prior to the month that we're in, and we just missed that it should have been October instead of November. So we caught it, and you've got the corrected version in front of you, and the corrected version is on the website also.
Good, thank you.
Carl, am I reading this correctly that essentially a third of rides year to date were in the month of October? And is that consistent? I know I'm not really good at math, but is that consistent?
Well, yes. July and half of August, the ridership is
Sure.
minuscule compared to what our ridership is the last half of August, September, and October. So most of the ridership this fiscal year so far, and remember, we're only talking about
No, I
July through
understand
October.
the school year, but
Has been September and October. And October is always the month that we have the highest ridership because there are no holidays in October. And so, that's the result of a couple of circumstances that lead to that. But yes, at this point in time, that is generally true, that October is the lion's share of the ridership.
Carl, the page 92, just looking at it for the first time, the annual pass is up 14.9%, and then the daily passes, or all-day passes, are down 27%, and the monthly passes are down 13%, and the veterans passes are down 13%. Is there any correlation there as to why, or is there pricing differentiation or incentive, or is there anything we can do to?
Excuse me, in looking at the numbers further, I think the 92 numbers in the original book are incorrect. So if you're looking at the handout, I'll let you go ahead and talk about that one, but just wanted to clarify that.
Oh, well, then I don't have those new, I apologize, then. I didn't realize the numbers were wrong, too, although as you were quoting them, it did not make sense to me, so thank you, Michelle, that makes sense. But I don't have, I thought it was just the header, so I don't have that copy in front of me. But irrespective, I've seen that. It's not yet a trend, like a long-term trend, so that's another thing that we're keeping an eye on. We didn't have any changes in the prices of any of those passes, and veterans passes are no charge, so there's no change in that. But again, it hasn't been happening long enough to have a trend that we can really analyze and try to make some determination on what is causing it. But we are keeping an eye on it.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
So, sorry, Phil.
Go.
Okay. I know that, the way that this is split up is campus versus community, but, most of the routes pass through campus, and so when we're talking about certain certain community routes that do tend to get very crowded in the core part of the route on campus, speaking from a rider, I can say that. Is that something that you also look at, frequently to just see, like, is there something that can be done about overcrowding in the core portion of those routes, even if they are considered community routes based on this standard?
We do. What you're seeing on the report, the reason that there's a bifurcation between community and campus, primarily that's a result of that the university pays for what we call campus service, and you're absolutely right. The vast majority of all of our routes, there's only a couple of exceptions to this, almost all of our service penetrates campus or goes through campus. And so it's not really taking ridership away from any of the what we would call community routes. It's only that separation is because of the funding of those two subsets of routes is different. One is the campus routes and the university. Those are derived from the agreement that we have with the university. So we determine how many service hours there are under that agreement, and that is what the university pays for, campus routes. And some of those, by the way, are like greenhopper routes are campus, paid for by campus, but the green route is a community route and not paid for directly by the university. So that's probably more than you were actually asking, but the short answer to your question is yes, we do look at capacity and overloads, and we respond to those irrespective of whether it's campus or community routes in a report. We respond to those in the same way.
Okay, yeah, it was actually the green route that I was thinking about with that question.
Yeah,
So-
yeah, the green route is one that we, it's a great route, and it serves the community well, and it's a high-functioning route, and so it has very high ridership. The downside to that is we have capacity issues at times, and we do put extra service out on that, and or extra vehicles on that to work on the load.
Phil?
I figured I'd just throw this out there. You've probably explained this to me before, but just looking at the investment balances, we've got a little over 10 million with Prospect Bank at 2.9%. And, First Mid's got, I'm assuming, some sort of brokered product that they're paying 4.23 on. What is the sort of calculus on how we decide to place these reserves?
Well, it's generally driven by interest rate, and Michelle, remind me of the date that we switched, but we just recently took the money out of First Mid, and we moved that over to Illinois funds because the interest rate at First Mid dropped dramatically, significantly, and the Illinois funds interest rate was similar, but actually a little higher than what First Mid's previous interest rate was at. So we moved all of that money over to
And that's through the state of Illinois, right?
That's correct.
And that doesn't appear on here, or it wasn't here at the time
I
of the
think it happened.
It happened in November. This is
Remember, this is
October.
October, and yeah, that happened in November, so it'll show up in the next report that you see.
So you moved the money from First Mid. Do we have any money at Prospect Bank then to speak of?
The Prospect Bank money is required as part of our line of credit agreements.
Gotcha. I figured there was something like that.
Phil, what page are you on in the report?
It's page 121, George.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, thank you.
Okay, with that, still under reports, I'm going to ask Nick Talon, our lead marketing specialist, to come up. He's I've already communicated to you that we've launched an MTD merch store, and Nick is going to give you just a little presentation on it to put it in front of your eyes, because I know you all need Christmas gifts still, and so we're here for you.
Good afternoon, everyone. As Carl mentioned, my name is Nick Town. I apologize that I do not have a name tag, but I'm the lead marketing specialist here at MTD, and today I'm super excited to share an overview of our new merch store that we've been building out the past few months. And we're going to cover why we built it, how we approached the design and platform, and kind of what we've seen since launch on November 14th of last month. But before I dive in, I want to thank our tech services department for making the integration pretty seamless. I want to thank our finance department for their back-end guidance, and of course, our communication design specialist, Abby Kipping, who, without her design work, the store would not exist. And finally, thank you to Carl and Amy for their excitement and support through building this merch store. So we can move to slide number 2. So why we created the store and the power of the purchase. So MTD, we have a really engaged community, and over the past year, we thought about new ways they can show their support of MTD. And we think that this store will give riders, students, alumni, and residents a way to express that pride in a visible, everyday way. And when we entered the design process, we hoped that the merch store would increase our visibility and keep MTD present across campus and throughout the town. We wanted to create some items that people would genuinely want to wear and use on a daily basis. So this wasn't necessarily about slapping a logo on a t-shirt and selling it. We really wanted to build out smaller collections that people would value and also reflect MTD's identity. From an outreach standpoint, we do think that this store will open up new opportunities for us, give us tools later down the line, such as that we could use at events, giveaways, and also just social media channel growth with promotional tools. And as it continues to grow, hopefully it is eventually a small source of revenue as well. So we can move to the next slide. So we looked over a ton of different platforms that might have fit our needs for this merch store, but Shopify ended up being a perfect pair for us in the end. And for people who might not know, Shopify is a widely used e-commerce platform that lets organizations build and manage online stores at kind of a handoff level. And it stood out to us because it gave us full control over branding, so it could truly feel like it was part of MTD's ecosystem. And also, it's a polished, trustworthy storefront that a lot of people are already familiar with. It really integrated pretty well with our website, and also a huge key factor was that it does support our digital accessibility outlook moving forward, and they have a lot of support for that aspect. This is a made-to-order drop shipping setup, so we do not carry any inventory on hand, and in turn, it provides a more sustainable and cost-effective platform for us starting out. Shopify also supports all major digital payment options, and like I had mentioned, a lot of people, maybe even in this room, are familiar with a Shopify checkout experience. So diving into some of the collections that we put together to launch this merch store. Collection number 1, which we are titling the Signature Collection. We wanted the Signature Collection to be designed to highlight the visuals people associate most strongly with MTD. Things like route numbers, head sign styles, and subtle design elements that feel pretty familiar to daily riders. And we wanted these to be pretty minimal and timeless because the goal for the Signature Collection is that these will live on the store for a long time and are different from more of our seasonal drops that may come and go depending on demand. One thing that's kind of lopped in with the Signature Collection that we're very excited about is we have a freebies section on the merch store, and what this might entail is phone and computer wallpapers, and we look forward to expanding that. So if people want to engage with MTD on the merch store, there's a way to do so without spending any money as well. So moving to our next collection, which we're very excited about. This is the ECA and MTD collection, and this collaboration celebrates artwork that was originally appeared in our 2023-2024 Maps and Schedules book, and I have that right here on hand. The hydrogen bus animals quickly became a favorite among riders, so bringing ECA's great illustrations of them into the merch store felt like a natural continuation, giving them a second life. We really hope this collection helps the store to appeal to a broader audience, especially families, students, and supporters who appreciate local art, and hopefully later down the line we can do more local collaborations. And then our final collection that was available at launch is the MTD Time Machine. So the Time Machine collection, it taps more into nostalgia and long-term community history. We pulled inspiration from older MTD logos, archival colors, and visual styles of earlier decades. These items are less more about following current clothing trends and more about celebrating MTD's story and legacy. And we really hope that these pieces, they resonate with longtime riders, former employees even, and supporters who have a strong emotional connection to MTD. So looking at November numbers, since our launch, we had 92 orders placed, $3,600 roughly in total sales with a 2.12% conversion rate. And if you look off to the right side, those are our top 8 items that have been sold as of December 3rd, and we are very excited with how the store has been received by the community, and it's kind of exciting to see that each collection is represented in some of those top items sold. So with that, I do want to say that we're super excited to continue growing and expanding the store, and we'd love for you guys to check it out, and if there's any feedback you could provide, that'd be awesome. And we're open to any ideas and suggestions that you guys might want to see on the store. And I also have some example items on hand in case you guys would like to see. Thank you.
Can you give us a definition conversion rate on that last slide, please?
Yeah, so conversion rate is the percentage of people who've go to the website and then actually purchase something. So a good number, according to Shopify's forums, is between 2 and 5% is a standard conversion rate.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
I just want to say I really like the beanie that says "not in service." I was thinking I could wear that around my children when I want to give a little subtle hint that I need a break. So thank you for that.
I have two comments. One is, how have you, or question really, how have you promoted, and it seems like this is obviously, there's a lot of opportunity for cross-promotion. I mean, I understand why this is completely digital, but I also feel like there could be maybe ways to, I don't know, bring it into somehow brick and mortar or samples into brick and mortar. I mean, Mark is right across the way. Obviously, a lot of great merch that's community-centric at Experience Champaign-Urbana, so that may be in your future plans.
Yes, we are absolutely looking forward in 2026 to have some sort of physical point of sale. That way we can avoid some shipping costs for local residents, and we would love to eventually get some product actually in storefronts as well. That is on our to-do list.
And then my second comment is more of a suggestion than a question, which is I would love to see some route-specific merch. I think there are people who are very attached to certain routes. I would like to have the 24 link, for example. Please, thank you.
Heard.
Yeah, I see a real customer base in your employees, so I'm sure you're doing some payroll inserts or some kinds of emails to them to link the site to them and encourage them to do it, and even do a payroll deduction on it, Michelle.
Yeah, we've had a lot of support already from MTD staff.
I can imagine.
Yeah, and we have some promotional codes for them as well, and it's cool that we can eventually maybe even do some internal items only that are maybe exclusive to just people who are at MTD.
And the board ought to get on board.
Are you advertising on and in the buses for it as well, like on the sides of the buses or in the interior boards?
That might be something we look into in the near future, but currently we're using our social media platforms, and we also have some kiosk ads running as well.
Ellen, it's heartwarming to me that you wondered if we were using payroll inserts. Out of 400 employees, I think we probably have 15 people who still get paychecks, and everybody else is a direct deposit. But we are doing messaging in our intranet system. So, yeah, old school, yes.
Any other questions, comments? Very good. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now we'll move on to action items. We will discuss Ordinance 2025-6, the General Tax Levy Ordinance for fiscal year beginning July 1, 2025, and ending June 30th, 2026. That's revenue year 2025.
Just as a reminder, when we took up the levy resolution in October, I indicated that was step one in the annual levy process, and now this is step two, where you will approve the levy ordinance. And so state statute statute describes that process. Step one, we do in October with the levy resolution, and then this is the ordinance. The ordinance is what makes it final, and we turn that over to the county, and that becomes our actual levy.
George?
Move approval of the ordinance as distributed in the
So seconded.
packet.
Been moved and seconded. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Blile,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Fasella,
Aye.
Friedman,
Yes,
Nudo,
Yes?
Ula,
Yes.
Barnes.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Our final action item is to consider the update to the safety-sensitive drug and alcohol policy. Looks like we've got Brendan here.
Good afternoon. My name is Brendan Sennett. I'm the Safety and Training Director at MTD. And what I have for us today is to review the update or the proposed update to the safety-sensitive drug and alcohol policy. It probably seems a little familiar because we just covered this in July, and we approved a fully compliant document that doesn't put us at risk for losing any FTA funding. But unfortunately, a fully compliant document does not always mean it's a useful document. We had some questions regarding one section about what happens during a shy bladder protocol. And in our document, it says exactly what's, supposed to happen, but it doesn't really explain how that happens. So in order to better educate our employees and the supervisors that often act as an intermediary between the testing personnel and the employee, we felt it was important to make sure that there was crystal clear instructions on what is supposed to happen, timelines and whatnot, so that those who find themselves in that situation have all the information they need to complete their end of the process. So we looked at shy bladder. We also took an opportunity to look at the shy lung, and we made some changes to both of those sections 12.3 and 12.4, to just improve them for clarity.
Just as a point of information, what's a ballpark of number of tests that happen on a yearly basis?
Very rare. I have been here 4 years-ish, and I've only had 2.
Dick, can you clarify what your question is? I want to make sure that you actually answered what you were asking.
I was just wondering how often tests need to be made.
Total tests, not shy bladder tests.
Well,
we do more than
there's a lot. Yeah, we do a lot more than 2. So a shy bladder could happen anytime we have a DOT regulated drug screen, and we are required to do random drug screens, where we're required to do 50% of our pool each quarter. So you're looking at, gosh, I don't know what the math is, but we do about hundreds of random tests each year.
And it's there's a percentage that we're required to do. So why don't you talk about that?
Yeah, so for drug screens, we're supposed to do 50% of our drug pool, which is consists of all safety sensitive employees. I don't know off the top of my head how big that pool is, but we're required to do 50% for each quarter.
Are those state or federal regulations?
Federal.
Federal. Thanks. Anything else? Okay, is there a motion to approve the update to the safety-sensitive drug and alcohol policy?
So moved.
Been moved and seconded. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Blile,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Fasella,
Aye.
Friedman. Yes. Nudo,
Yes?
Ula,
Yes.
Barnes.
Yes?
Motion carries.
Thank you. Our next meeting will be the annexation public hearing on Tuesday, December 16th, 2025, from 5 to 6 p.m. at the Urbana Walmart MTD bus stop, number 0127 on Tatman Drive in Urbana, located just south of the Urbana Walmart Auto Care Center, 100 South High Cross Road, Urbana. The next regular Board of Trustees meeting will be on Wednesday, January 28th, 2026 at 3 p.m. here at the Illinois Terminal, 45 East University in Champaign. Do I hear a motion to adjourn this meeting?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Meeting adjourned. Thank you all for being here.
Missed,